And yeah, if you're just tuning in, your eyes are serving you correctly. It is Dave from CapZeyeZ and Alex Jones from, well, Alex Jones. Yeah, how you doing, man?
Good. I'm enjoying hanging out.
Thanks for coming out and doing CapZeyeZ with us tonight. I do appreciate every time you've been on the show, and I promised myself that we would make it a lot more often than it had been in the past. So
there's a lot to talk about.
Stopping in, there's a lot. Unfortunately, there is a lot to talk about. You know, I guess just to be kind, these folks have been waiting. I did talk to a few callers who did have some questions for you, so we'll try to run through a couple of those.
Okay.
And hopefully we're doing good here. Thanks for holding. What's going on?
Hey, good morning, gentlemen. This is great. The two best producers in access television, man. It's awesome, man.
Where's George Woolley?
Loving you guys for years. Hey, I had a question for Alex, man.
Yeah.
Alex, when you want to get away from thinking about all the stuff that you do think about and research, I'm sure you choose music occasionally. What are you listening to nowadays that is helping you escape?
I have to be honest with you. I like classical music. I like a lot of what you call classic rock and roll. I like some of the real country, that's out there. Some of the stuff I heard earlier I like. I don't like, God, I can't stand the stuff that's on the radio.
Toby Keith.
Yeah, but I mean, I like some of the, what you'd call kind of techno stuff. I mean, I like very eclectic. I mean, if you know what type of music I listen to, it's just very eclectic. My wife listens to a lot of foreign, French music and Brazilian music. I like that kind of stuff. Just whatever sounds good. Whatever
That's
sounds
good.
good to me, it sounds good.
That sounds pretty wide-based to me, man. That's pretty.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. I'm glad to hear that you're keeping your horizons wide.
Well, thanks for tuning in, my friend.
Yeah, thank you, gentlemen.
You have a good morning.
Yeah, you too.
All right. Hey, thanks for holding. It's CapZeyeZ with Alex Jones.
Hey, Dave. Once again, I wanted to thank you again for the hobble.
Oh, the hobble was great. Yeah.
That was awesome a couple of weeks ago. Their new stuff is really awesome. If you can get some of that.
I really got to hook up with those hobble cats and do some new videos. Is he still throwing himself off the stage and all of that stuff?
Yeah, every night, man.
This dude ends up bleeding,
awesome.
Literally bleeding every night.
That's got to be tough.
He's the best front man in Austin, honestly.
Absolutely.
And Alex, I wanted to ask you, how'd you get hooked up with Kevin Booth?
Well, I mean, it's quite an eclectic group. Keep going back to that word, but a lot of interesting people down here in Access TV. And I think I got hooked up with Kevin around the same time Dave probably did, about 10 years ago.
Back in the Bill Hicks days.
Yep.
I only met Bill one time when he was down here. That's when I was first down here just going on shows, didn't even have a show. But I've probably been hanging out with Kevin, on a routine basis the last 8 years, 9 years now. Time's flying.
Yeah.
And, I agree with a lot of the stuff Kevin's doing. And, Kevin's a good friend of mine. We go out water skiing a couple times a year. And
I've seen that video.
He's very passionate about what he does, I think, is what kind of ties all of us guys together. We're all very passionate about what we're doing, whether or not it's our ideas that even mesh whatsoever. It's kind of like the passion that we all have for what
And it's also trying to do something, that's alternative, but not just trying to be alternative, just doing what we like.
Yeah.
And so that's automatically alternative.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, and finally, Alex, I missed you in Waco this year. I was out there for the anniversary.
Yeah, I haven't been there in a couple of anniversaries. I think I've been to like 4 or 5 of them. And we built a memorial church for those that died.
Yeah, I was out there during that.
And I just feel that it's more important that I be on the radio and doing my work exposing how the government's carrying out terror attacks than go to the memorial service. And
it's fewer and fewer people every year. I saw Mike out there this year. He's doing a great job. I mean, Mike's an awesome individual. But anyway, I guess I'll let y'all go. Y'all have a great night.
Thank you so much.
Sale Hayton, hey? Bye.
Sale Hayton. I don't know, man. We'll have to see about all that Sale Hayton business.
who is Sale Hayton?
It's another show that I do, a little offshoot of one of our programs, and it seems to have a little cult following. So I resurrected every once in now and again, but who knows. I did have a caller who wanted to maybe discuss some of the older issues, like the 4-plane scenario with 9/11. Do you want to talk about some of that?
Well, you got about probably 10, 15 minutes left.
Yeah.
I mean,
so many fresh issues.
Yeah, I mean, and people say, "Wait a minute, there's a half hour left." I mean, in between videos.
Yeah. You want me just to real briefly get him on for a second?
Well, I mean,
it's hard to touch that.
Oh no, I mean, I'll talk about it. The problem is it almost does a disservice to even get into 9/11 because, you know, it's like I show you one piece of evidence to who the murderers are instead of showing you 600, and I have 600 plus pieces. But bottom line,
prisonplanet.com.
Yeah, the 9/11 sections. But then, I mean, let's take the call.
Okay, let's see. Is there something we can address in particular?
Yeah, I just wanted to know. I definitely don't believe the government story, and I just, you know, it probably isn't enough time. But if you could take each of the 4 flights that day and tell me, you know, what really happened. I mean, were the 2 planes that went into the World Trade Centers, were they in fact empty, or were there really people on them? If they were taken somewhere else, you know, were they killed somewhere else? And I'll go ahead and hang up if you could just kind of do an abbreviated answer on those.
Hey,
thanks a lot.
Thanks for your time, man.
Sure. I mean, this question, just so folks know where I'm coming from. I've made 2 videos, written a book, published a book, and, you know, there's countless other books and films that do a good job that we focus on just to tell different sections of this. I mean, it's like, again, you go to some mass murderer's house in the woods, and there's 50 bodies out there, and then somebody says, in 2 minutes, tell me about the murders, tell me about how this happened, give me your evidence to the jury out there. But I think the way you opened your statement is key.
Yeah.
That I don't believe the government story. You know, it just isn't right. It doesn't make sense. A good place for you to start is with Payne Stewart, the golfer. Remember Payne Stewart in '99? His private jet got off course. It depressurized. And within 8 minutes, F-16s were launched. And within 5 minutes, F-16s were launched. Within 18 minutes, 5 F-16s were surrounding his aircraft, and they were ready to shoot it down if it wasn't, you know, on a safe course, but it went into a cornfield. My dad, you know, years ago owned a Cessna growing up, still has a pilot's license. I mean, out in the middle of nowhere, if you get off course just a few miles, they're asking, why are you off course? What's going on? If you don't answer, jets are launched. It's been that way since 1958.
Yeah, right.
I mean, I've been in the plane with my dad in a storm, had to get a little bit off. He says, you know, the storms, yes. Well, stay exactly to this course then. We're giving you around the storm, or we're launching, you know, fighters on your butt.
Damn.
I mean, you know, that's how this works.
Yeah.
That's, you know, I mean, when you land, they will arrest you. You give them your flight plan, you follow that flight plan. But the most controlled airspace in the world, the eastern seaboard, 4 planes out there for 1 hour and 25 minutes, flying around, the FAA, transponders off. They now admit the supposed hijackers, you know, saying stuff to the towers. And the government then said, oh, we shredded all the tower tapes. And then we have maneuvers, and I've interviewed probably 15 different former and current airline pilots and people who are like, our guys can't do those maneuvers. And since the 40s, they've been able to remote control planes. Joe Kennedy, JFK's big brother, who Daddy Kennedy, Joseph Kennedy, Sr., wanted to be president. He died in a mission over Germany in a P-38 Lightning, piloting in 3 B-23s loaded with explosives. He had the radio controls and got shot down by a Focke-Wulf, a German. And he was flying in his P-38, you know, flying 3 other planes that were radio controlled. So it's and that was in 43. It's that old. You know, they can have a jet take off and refuel by remote control, and you know, from L.A. And this was done 15 years ago, and land with a perfect landing, better than a pilot in Sydney, Australia.
That's crazy.
So they have all that, and obviously they did that. I mean, how do we know this? 9 of the hijackers are still alive. The others were trained at U.S. military bases, MSNBC, Pensacola News Journal. They had their houses, their cars, their credit cards paid for by the FBI. They all pop up alive again.
What about the families on the cell phones, you know?
Well, I mean, you can go watch Forrest Gump shake hands with Kennedy in Forrest Gump. You know, the Running Man, Who Loves You and Who Do You Love? Mad Dog Ben Richards. We're going to show you a video of him killing these 40 people. Didn't happen. That's old technology. And, you know, these little fragment calls from cell phones. All I know is that their official story is the equivalent of saying fire ants in my backyard are going to build a spaceship and fly to the moon tomorrow. I mean, it is the wildest conspiracy theory to believe the official story. We have a government that says that they didn't have any prior knowledge, but the White House called Mayor Willie Brown of San Francisco, said don't fly to New York tomorrow. That's San Francisco Chronicle, Associated Press. We have MSNBC with the Joint Chiefs of Staff, September 11th. You know, we're going before they got the story straight. We got a call not to fly to New York that day for a meeting. Man, boy. And then, oh no, you never heard that. And again, I've gone through like 5 points of 600. There really are 600 plus. Yep. And we now have the government.
600 points of light.
Yeah, that's what Bush likes to talk about. I mean, it's all there, and it's huge. And then you look at the motive, and then Bush had this PNAC group, this public policy group calling for terror attacks to help us get behind a war for global domination years before 9/11. And it just goes, Dave, it goes on and on.
It's insane. It's totally insane, man. So yeah, it's quite frightening that there's all that. So all the things you've been dealing with in the past, whether it be your driver's license and a thumbprint to personal rights to local people trying to live their lives in their own home and be invaded by the local government. I mean, now, how do you even focus your passion, you know?
Well, that's it. I mean, look, in hindsight, the LBJ Presidential Library, what, 4 miles from here, 3 miles from here?
Yeah.
Not even that. 7 months ago, they released the LBJ tape where he goes, Gulf of Tonkin never happened, it was a staged deal. At least LBJ just acted like a ship got attacked and somebody got killed. They didn't actually do it. But, you know, people deny that all these years when the officers on the ships came back and gave TV interviews, said it never happened. And 58,000 Americans, though, died because of that lie. And then we have Operation Northwoods. This is one of the biggest pieces of evidence. The official U.S. government plan to have military people in plain clothes act like they board airplanes. This is declassified public. Act like they board airplanes, then have those covertly land, and then have drones crash and blame it on foreign enemies at that time to have a war with the Soviet Union. Now, that's a declassified document. Strangely enough, it was accidentally declassified by somebody in the NSA about 6 months before 9/11. They were trying to warn us. We have the ABC News, Baltimore Sun articles right before 9/11 going, man, headline, U.S. government plan to terrorize U.S. cities as pretext for war. And so somebody, and the government said, yes, it's real, but it shouldn't have been declassified. So the point is, people in government are trying to warn you. I mean, here's a plan to do what they did.
That's crazy.
And they say we can have fake deaths, or we could remote control a bunch of college students, because people get mad when we kill young people.
Can we do Aggies?
That's
Thank you.
But no, I mean, it's it would be
crazy. And the president's in town tonight, or had been.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He's gone by now. But
His
yeah,
lordship has left.
So, yeah. Jenna was having her little swing ding. So.
Iron Cactus making a few mil.
Yeah, absolutely. Spreading the love, bringing that money back to Texas, doing the right thing, right?
Yeah, the Kenny Buckport, Maine, cousin of Kerry. William Bush's cousins were.
Yeah.
Skull and Bones coffin mates. It's all staged.
That's crazy. I'll try to take a few more phone calls here. We probably got time to wrap up. I don't know if you want to hang out for the wrap up, but we're going to do a couple more videos, and I'll try to see if you guys got something to say. This is live. Thanks for tuning in. Yo.
Is this Raw Time?
No, this is CapZeyeZ.
Does Raw Time come on tonight?
Monday nights, midnight to 1:30, Channel 10, every Monday night, my friend. CapZeyeZ.
Yeah. Will you tell us who you'll vote for, or who you're considering voting for?
Is that legal? Can we even tell people who we're voting for?
Yes, we can. Yeah. Again, that gets, look, number one, you can forget the presidential election. They select the horses. The mob owns all the horses. So it's a stage race. The power is at the county, city, and state level. Hundreds of cities have thrown out the Patriot Act. We don't have to follow this. You know, laws are not God. They can say black people are slaves again tomorrow. I'm not going to follow that. Okay, so, I mean, you can say women don't have a right to vote. I'm not going to follow that. You can say that, you know, I've got to bow down and worship the emperor. Bull. But let me tell you, it's staged at the federal level. And unfortunately, Diebold and others are publicly CIA run. They've been caught, and we're even losing our right to vote very quickly. So things are darkening very fast.
Okay, now we've been talking about how it's all staged. Do you think it's possible that Bush has been set up in a really, really bad light? I'm not saying that he's a good guy by any means, but so we can get people to swing to Kerry and get behind him, like, oh, this is the guy who's going to save us from Bush?
Well, either way, the establishment wins. They're both for the war. They're both for open borders. They're both for gun control. They're all the same policies, different rhetoric. and they want to keep us balkanized in this left-right system, fighting with each other when there's no difference.
So you miss the real.
What about Nader?
So. And Nader, you know.
Nader will end up, they say, you know, getting Kerry elected, but I have to be, I know a lot of Republicans that are actually going to vote for him. I don't agree with some of the things he says. I agree with some of what he has. Again, these are all sophisticated questions and even more sophisticated answers.
It's still 3 shows, and it's not, it's 2.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Anything else, man?
Yeah. Have you ever run into any trouble? Like, has anyone ever attempted to assassinate Alex or anything?
That's one of the most common questions. Number one, until you hit the age of 55, the number one cause of death, number one threat in your life, is automobile. I mean, it's like Frogger. We're out here in this little tin can going 80 miles an hour with huge semis around us, and we drive by carnage and blood and arms splattered a couple times a year. I think all of us see that.
At least.
At least. Yeah, I mean, well, you drive by it every day, but then you see the guts a few times a year if you're looking. Maybe the yuppies with the blinders on haven't seen it. But, you know, I'm going to get in my car tonight. You know, I'm going to get the most dangerous thing to me just because I like the freedom of mobility.
Absolutely.
So, years ago I had threats, but when you don't respond to the threats, they stop. If they're threatening you, you're in a good place.
Yeah.
So when they really want to kill you, they just come do it.
Yeah.
But they have a problem. There's thousands of prominent people like myself, millions of people that are active, and more people waking up every day. So they can't kill us all. They've got to try to take the issue, spin it, deal with it that way, kind of, you know, launder it through the media, and, you know, they count on your own denial. And, you know, could I get killed for this? Well, if I do, so what? I mean, we're all going to die.
Yep.
And to really live, you got to not care about dying, frankly. Yep. I mean, I just got to tell you that up front. If you're always thinking about death and afraid of it, you're not
dead.
You're dead.
You're dead.
You're dead.
You are.
I mean, you're not free.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, my children's future, this country, when you know how evil the globalists are, I'm not going to, I mean, I've got to fight them. I mean, if I saw 4 thugs mugging an old lady, and I didn't have a weapon and they did, it's not even courage, it's just duty, it's my programming. I'm going to go fight them. So it's not a, you know, I mean, it shouldn't be a question. Mm-hmm. But when we all have this attitude of fear, what will my neighbor think? What will they do to me? Will I get audited? When we have that attitude, that keeps the government's made of people just like you and I. Most of them are starting to join us. That's why the establishment's panicking.
Yep, and they're getting that info out. Oh, I don't know how I got declassified. Oh, whoops. So we'll do one more and we'll get some videos. What's up?
Yeah, this question is for Alex Jones.
Okay.
Do you think Bush has anything to do with all these gas prices being all outrageous?
Do you think that was an assumed voice?
Yeah, he's worried about the voice print.
Yeah.
Again, there are, just because you're concerned, there are billions of emails, billions of phone calls, billions of faxes, and only tops 5,000 people at NSA analyzing domestic stuff. Can you imagine coming home and having 1 million messages to listen to?
God, yeah.
Even with keyword computers, they're not listening to you.
Yeah.
All they can do is do case point examples to scare you, to make you think they're watching you. It's the illusion. It's the man behind the curtain.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, you know, the IRS burning a Willie Nelson just because he's prominent to make everybody else think, ooh, they're going to get me.
Yeah.
See how that works? But that was to counter your fear. What was his question? His question was the gas prices.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no, OPEC only gets about 20% of the actual profits. The Bank of England and the Federal Reserve get it all. It's a giant scam. He won't even release the strategic reserves.
Someone else has got that corner on the market.
Yeah, and folks, if you want to accept this raping, and if you want to put up with this raping, they're going to keep going. Why did they do this before? Because they knew people wouldn't put up with it. They think you're dumbed down enough to go along with it.
Yeah. Well, we're going to wrap up the show. I got a couple videos from bands that have visited us recently, and then I'm going to come back and say goodnight. You want to say goodnight to the people with us, Alex?
Absolutely,
yep.
Sure.
Fine. We're going to be here till 1:30 as the clock states. It is Austin, Texas, 1:07 a.m. in East Austin. I'd like to say South Austin, but they make me come over here because this is where the studio is. And a couple weeks ago, my good friend Trevor Detland visited us with his latest project, Thief. This is a song they do called Mr. Mephistopheles.
Let me ask you a question.
It's a question.
Is that Indian or is that Norse?
That's very Warneristic, as far as I know. We'll have to get with Warner about that. He holds all the secrets.
All right.
See